If the GOP is looking for a voice, they have found their man. Conservative talk show host Rush Limbaugh is not backing down from his war of words with the president today. He said Mr. Obama is intentionally trying to drive a wedge between himself and top Republicans.
I think what Obama was trying to do by naming me was to cause a bunch of Republicans. He was hoping they would also denounce me so that he could establish what is mainstream conservatism is something fringe and get these Republicans to vote with him on his porculus bill. And it didn't work.
So Matt Lewis is a blogger with AOL's Political Machine, and Nancy Giles, a social commentator. Matt, I want to start off with you. What's your reaction to what Rush said just this morning? They're trying to drive a wedge.
I think he's absolutely right. I mean, look, people forget that, I've been listening to Rush Limbaugh since the late 80s, believe it or not. And Rush Limbaugh was the de facto leader of the conservative movement from 92 to 94. Not just the conservative movement, but probably the Republican Party during an interim before Gingrich sort of became speaker. And guess what? He was very effective. In fact, when Republicans took over in 94, they called him the majority maker. So I think what we're seeing is an effort to sort of strangle the baby in the crib, so to speak, before Rush can actually get Republicans on board. I think yesterday when Republicans stood up to that Pelosi Obama stimulus plan, it's a sign that they actually are going to take some leadership.
Interesting, Nancy, because, I mean, and Matt makes great points about the 80s, but Rush did not help them this time around.
He sure did.
And he wrote this op-ed in the Wall Street Journal about the economy. I want to read part of it. It says, the economic crisis is an opportunity to unify people if we set aside politics. The leader of the Democrats and the leader of the Republicans, me, according to Mr. Obama, can get it done. This will have the overwhelming support of the American people. Is he calling the shots? I mean, that's as simply as I could put it. Is he the shot caller for the GOP?
I think he's the shot caller if you look at this 20% radical, crazy fringe of the GOP that seems to be ruling the entire party. And that's a group that calls themselves ditto heads. They don't know how to express their own anger. And by somebody like Rush Limbaugh trying to appeal to them and say, I hope the president fails, you got to ask yourself, does he want the war effort to fail? Does he want the middle class not to get jobs back? Does he want the economy to not recover? It's almost treasonous speaking.
And Matt, it is interesting, and everyone has their opinion.
No.
Let me ask you this, though. But one person, I'm going to ask it. You're going to have to let me ask it, Matt. One person wrote, Rush has the answer to everything. He has the answer to Iraq. He's got the answer to the economy. He's got the answer, why not run for office? That's an interesting thought out there. I mean, why sit behind the mic and not take a more active role?
Well, number one, I think Rush Limbaugh is arguably more effective having the megaphone that he has and inspiring, whether it's politicians to actually do the right thing or bloggers or whomever. But I take offense at the 20% radical fringe element. I mean, that is the sort of demagoguery and name-calling that we don't need. And if we're serious about bipartisanship, I think we need to drop that rhetoric right now.
Do we need someone saying that he hopes the president of this country fails?
Absolutely.
What about when Keith Olbermann said that George Bush was a fascist and a liar? I mean, come on. What Rush Limbaugh said is that his policies, which are essentially things that would bring about nationalized health care, socialism, and look, this whole stimulus package, name me one time when government make work spending has ever helped. It's actually going to hurt us in this recession right now. What we need is what John Kennedy did and what Ronald Reagan did, tax cuts.
Well, Matt and Matt and Nancy, I would love to continue this, but we've got this breaking news story. And I want to bring you, I know, we got to bring the state of